Well, hi there.
Hi, Julie. How are you?
Good. This is Pat Timmons from Drift, and he is our guest speaker today. So, Pat, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Pat Timmons. I got my undergrad at Emerson College, and when I was there, my first internship was actually with Julie Dennehy,
Mhm.
working in PR and helped with a lot of the King Richard's Fair work that she worked on. And from there, that really launched my career into marketing, going into other PR jobs, and then I went to advertising at Hill Holiday in Boston. Worked in account management, and then worked in production. I helped build Emerson College's mobile app, marketed that, and did a lot of focus groups with the college and students and faculty. And then down the road, I really wanted to dive into my passion, music, and got my master's in music business. And while I was there, I got a temporary gig at the Grammys to work on a application flow for artists for every time that they wanted to apply for a Grammy. So every year everyone has to apply, so I got to work on the copywriting and kind of the workflow that made it easiest for the artists. And then that was a temporary gig, so I kind of wanted to get back into video editing and that kind of stuff from my days in advertising. And I applied for an internship at Drift and got it, and loved video editing, but really wanted to get back into marketing directly and talking to people and building communities. So really relevant to today, and learning about personas and talking to them directly. So I landed a position in social media while I was at Drift, and I've been working in that position for over a year now. So that's where I'm at now.
And what's your title at Drift today?
Social media associate right now.
Excellent. And so that's the entry level job for Drift.
Yeah.
Because we actually are talking about all of the array of roles in social
Yeah.
media. So that's why I'm
Yeah.
asking. So your undergrad was Emerson, your master's was from Northeastern.
Berkeley, actually.
Oh, Berkeley. I'm sorry. That's
Yeah,
right.
it started Northeastern and went to Berkeley. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Started at Northeastern, went to Berkeley. Grammys, fabulous. What a great career path.
Yeah.
I love particularly that you followed your passion. We talked a little bit about that in class. And I'm encouraging students to really think about, particularly my seniors, what niche of PR and social media that they're really interested in.
Yeah.
And as you've demonstrated, you've moved from PR, advertising, marketing, social media. So you've done the whole gamut. Any tips on how to navigate those different industries, or have they flowed pretty well for you?
Yeah, I think it really, as it happens, it happens. Like when you won't expect it. I never expected I'd be in B2B SaaS, but I think finding the best out of it is the way to do it. So my passion is music, but I'm looking into my other passions, which is like culinary arts and how tech and music and tech and culinary arts can all converge together. And that's really a big thing now. Is looking for those tech jobs will actually gain attention from bigger tech companies that might be a little bit more aligned with your passions. So that might be a little bit more direct advice. I think tech is definitely a great place to be right now, and I think there's a lot of major opportunity to build a career in tech and down the road, align that with your passion for
Mhm.
sure.
And when you say tech, that you're using it to cover both consumer and B2B. So that's a good segue. You found yourself at a B2B company,
Mhm.
um, and which is a fun new area after doing so much consumer.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what Drift is and what working for a B2B company entails and how that's different from consumer, direct
Yeah,
to consumer.
absolutely. Yeah. So Drift is a revenue acceleration platform, which is kind of a fancy way of saying we help align your marketing and sales teams to, provide a better experience for your potential customers and current customers. So whether that be through a chatbot or a Drift video, um, or an email bot that can answer emails without you having to manually type back answers, we make it just easier for your customer to kind of get the answers they want right now. Our big enemy is forms. We hate forms because you fill out a form, you wait 10 days for someone to get back to you, and then you don't really get the answer you wanted. Drift is a chatbot on a website that can answer your question like right now. And
Great. That's
using
immediate.
automation. Yeah,
Yeah.
and we're using like automated intelligence and all of that kind of stuff to really make it a lot more frictionless and make the buyer experience, in the hands of the buyer, not the company. So that's the main goal. Um, and then in regards to my day to day, it's really we actually market ourselves a lot like a B2C company. We're really like we get inspiration from like companies like Louis Vuitton. We get inspirations from like Slack, which is a lot more. It's B2B, but it's like a lot more day to day. Like we're talking to the people that are executing, not leading. So I think like we definitely get a lot of inspiration. We get a lot of fun ideas from B2C companies, and a lot of the things where other B2B companies might not do is, we use memes, we use culture first marketing, we have fun with our brand because at the end of the day, we're doing something great, but we're not saving people's lives. So we don't take ourselves a little too seriously. And I think that's a big thing to know for B2B marketers for sure.
That's a great lesson. We talked a little bit about that in class too, about how we saw a TED Talk video, our first class, about Mr. Splashy Pants and Greenpeace taking themselves very seriously and having to let go of control. Do you find in your job doing social media that sometimes you have to let the trends lead you and let go a little bit, even in a B2B company?
Yep. Oh yeah. I think in 2020 we all learned that you have to take it day by day. And like today there could be a breaking news story that could change the way I post content for the day. So um, in the past, social media was like you can schedule a whole month out of content and have it all ready. And now it's really like I post organically and natively every single day. I don't schedule anything unless it's like a really solid day. um,
I'm
but
really glad to hear you say that.
yeah,
I'm a big fan of that.
yeah, and I think like that goes with PR too, right? Like you can schedule emails, but I don't know if I'd recommend that in 2020 and 21 now because like it's just so much can happen in 10 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour. So I definitely learned that like every morning with my cup of coffee looking at Google Trends and just like looking at Twitter trends and diving into what people are actually talking about. And while my content might not be like super relevant that day to like every topic, I always try to frame it in that kind of sense or find a meme that's really relevant or whatever way to tie it back to the trends. I think you
That's
kind of have
trending.
to do that. Yeah.
So walk us through a typical day of Pat Timmons.
Yeah.
You got your coffee, you're looking at Google Trends. What else do you do?
Yeah. So the next step is definitely like copywriting all the posts. And then not scheduling them, but like having them all written and then getting them ready to copy and paste whenever. And then the big thing that I've focused on at Drift that I think all social media professionals should do is really focus on community engagement. So I book an hour and a half in the morning every single day to go through the community, everyone that liked or commented on our stuff, and thank them for commenting, thank them for sharing things, or have an actual conversation as the brand with them. And then if I get through all of that, I kind of go into the marketing hashtag or the sales hashtag, whatever is relevant to your brand, and have conversations that don't directly mention us. So that I do for like an hour and a half. And then, there's meetings throughout the day. So when I'm not in meetings, I kind of do the same community engagement, and, kind of just make sure that I'm part of the conversation as Drift in the conversations that matter to the brand. Um, and then, yeah, a lot of the meetings that I have are usually about campaign specific strategies
Mhm.
or just kind of reporting about what's going on and how many interested people we're getting or stuff like that on social. But yeah.
Different insights that you notice that you can bring back to the team and say, I noticed we're not doing as well in this area. Maybe we should ramp up a campaign to support that.
Yeah, we definitely focus on types of forms of content. So we, really like we have a lot of podcasts that go out. You may see on Instagram. We have
Yeah.
a lot of like blogs that go out every single day. We have one or two. We have content. So we have like books. So kind of reports or books about different topics. And I, tag everything with using Sprout Social, which a lot of other like tools can tag things, but Sprout Social, I think, is my favorite that I've used for social planning and everything. You can tag like every blog post that's about marketing, every blog post about sales. You can filter out and say like, okay, the blog posts about marketing are doing way better than sales, and you can tell them we should do more of that and lean into that. So
I
yeah.
need, we did have a student specifically in the beginning of class ask that, how can she learn more about Sprout? So it's
Mhm.
good that you brought that up. What are some resources that you can advise students to use to get into Sprout and then kind of take it 2.0 and learn more about it?
Yeah, I would definitely. I don't know if they went through like the Sprout like learning portal. I think definitely start with that. But then, I think like if you honestly reach out to the Sprout team and just say I would like to try it out and have a trial, they'd absolutely like do that because their team is just super all about like learning, and they definitely want to empower people to use the platform in the
Mhm.
best way. So I actually play around with it a lot for my like personal marketing stuff. So
Mhm.
I've been writing a book right now, so I've been promoting
That's
that.
right.
Yeah,
Congrats.
I've been yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've been promoting that with like personal stuff. So I've been using Sprout to like track and measure all of that content, and they do that like for free essentially. So
Okay,
yeah,
plug your book. Now tell
thank
us what your book is.
oh yeah. Yeah, my book is called Feel Something, and it's about how to use empathy marketing to build trust with your audience. And it kind of is really similar to persona marketing. So it ties really well, where it's just, you know, the argument is that every stage of the buyer journey, you should be focusing on two main things to have empathy is the decision making process for those people, and then also their emotions throughout those decision making processes. So like every stage of the buyer journey, there's going to be different tactics that you can do that with and show empathy to the audience and really build that trust to ultimately grow your revenue.
I just realized something, a little bit of a aha moment
Yeah.
as you said that. When I do a grand opening, and you saw me do those when you interned for me, we try to do, all the regular pricing and promotional tools, the 4 P's of marketing,
Mhm.
pretty typical stuff. But I always try to add a layer of community relations, and I think that's my version of empathy marketing. Is
Yeah.
okay, this is all great. Giving away a free Slurpee is great,
Mhm.
but how do I really connect with people in a human way? And what you're saying, which is a great layer to personas, which what we're going to talk about next, is I worry about two things when it comes to buyer personas. Tell me if you disagree. And there's a lot of critique going on right now with the Super Bowl ads,
Yeah.
Jeep ads specifically, is
Mhm.
that there's problems with buyer personas and that you're stereotyping and putting people in a box. I'm not crazy comfortable about that, which is why buyer personas can be problematic.
Yeah.
And I'll just leave it there. And the second thing is this empathy layer is not there. We're really sort of typifying people, but it doesn't have a layer of humanistic qualities. And we should try to add those, right, to a buyer persona. So, especially in a B2B brand where you're trying to break through and reach people in a business, not personally as a consumer, but personally as an employee,
Mhm.
right? So it's a different mindset. So I love that you use that term. It really kind of shifts everything for me a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, and I dig that. So we're going to talk about buyer personas. So why don't you walk me through a buyer persona for Drift now that we
Yeah.
know who Drift is?
Yeah, I mean, I also think I agree with you on how it can put people in a box. And I think the biggest thing to know is that every buyer persona that like we create at Drift and every buyer persona that your students create should be iterative. So every time one of our buyer personas is a chief marketing officer. So we really focus on them being the owner of not only like brand awareness but revenue for their organization. So we have a bunch of different customers, but the focus that we have for CMOs is that they're a certain age, they live usually in like the tech hubs or something like that, but that's kind of not really relevant after 2020 anymore. But
Right, right.
that's what I mean by iterative. But like and they also they're what keeps them up at night is something that I like always think about, and I think
Yeah,
that's how you can put persona and empathy marketing like together is what really keeps them up at night. And I think something that we've really realized from focus groups and just interviewing people and having a research agency help us is that CMOs are really accountable for revenue, and that's kind of a new thing. But I think that's with the alignment of sales, marketing, and customer success teams really always having to align and not have a customer lose interest in your product and leave, but also attaining new customers that really are excited about your product and want to share about your product, and all of that ties into revenue, and all of that responsibility falls on the chief marketing officer. So our persona really, summarizes that in a way that's, actionable, and a way that, we can write to. So we all have a different bunch of different copywriters on the team from social media like me, or from an email perspective, or the blogs. And we always keep those personas in mind, and like what they kind of want to hear or what keeps them up at night, when we're creating that content, so that when a post comes up on their newsfeed, it actually stops their thumbs. They're like, oh, okay, that's something I relate to. So I want to share it with my team and say, this is what keeps me up at night. Not exactly, but not
So
that.
for B2B, it's less about where they live, work, and play, which is how I phrase it for consumers,
Mhm,
but more about their business challenges.
mhm,
I think in our persona chart, for the assignment that they're going to do next, we talk about goals and challenges.
mhm,
But again, saying what keeps them up at night is more of an empathy
mhm.
layer, because you're saying not only is it a goal or a problem to solve, but it really stresses them out.
Yeah.
There's an emotional component to that.
Mhm.
So I like that you're thinking that way, because we're not just solving a problem, we're making their life easier,
Right.
right?
Exactly. And that's at the end of the day, your product should always do that. So, and we have another persona where it's like the salesperson, the actual sales rep is speaking that we're speaking to, and their life is a lot easier because of our chat tool, while the CMO's life is a lot easier because of all the different high level reporting, and easy access that they can see without having to get into the weeds and make their job more stressful by like having to check in on sales, customer success, and marketing. They could see it all, on a dashboard, and just make it really
So
easy.
real quick, that research company that you referenced, who's helping you, because this might help the students understand those first steps. Um, we are talking about like personal background, what their role is, what their, like, obviously the company information, what keeps them up at night, their goals and challenges, and what their shopping or industry news preferences are. Are those all of the bullet points that your research company covers,
Yeah.
and maybe then some? Are there other things that they explore for you without having to give up any proprietary research information? But
Yeah, I don't know exactly what the set of questions were, but yeah, they definitely had like one-on-one interviews that were each like, I think they're over an hour for each CMO that they talked to, and
uh,
I think they talked to over 100 CMOs. So it was
so
like
they
a really,
talk to current customers as well as competitors, customers,
I'm not sure if they did. I'm not sure. They
or
probably did.
perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think perspective mostly. Like why, like because they weren't like no, they didn't know that it was about drift. So that was kind of the key part of it. So it was really kind of like a high level overview of the chief marketing officer role. And then all the other roles, like we interviewed chief revenue officers, we interviewed sales reps, directors of like demand generation, which is the big thing for drift. So all the different personas, we interviewed those types of people, in like over 100 people each. So the big thing that we wanted to get at was like, what's really, hard for you, what's keeping you up at night, and then also just like how can something, make that easier, or what are you looking for in a product that will like make it easier. And I think that helped us a lot
The
with
specific product attributes
yeah,
you're asking. Okay,
yeah,
that's not on our list, but
yeah,
that's a good one. Yeah.
yeah, I
Now
think
you're
that's
getting a little bit of a product focus group along with your research, right?
right, yeah. So yeah, that was super helpful for us to frame product launches and everything like that.
Yeah, given it's a relatively new company.
Yeah.
Right. How old is Drift-ish?
We're 5 going on 6.
Oh, okay, so not, I
2015.
mean, new, but not crazy new.
Yeah.
Um, Excellent. Any other points you want to make about developing this persona and then utilizing this persona? Like, is it in
Yeah.
your brain all the time when you write?
Yeah. So I think like something that I don't have it with me, but at the office we had persona cards that like literally that we would give to sales teams, but like we could they all got them printed with like laminate everything and I just printed that at the printer there. But like it literally is just every single person that we're talking to with like, kind of we call it, I think like a battle card is what it's called. And it's like anything that you could say on a sales call that would make them want to buy the product because of like what they talked about and what their woes are and all of that. Like that's all laid out on that battle card. And I think just kind of internalizing that when you're a social media manager is key because you never know when like a CMO could tweet something really relevant to Drift, and it's kind of on Drift or on me to really chime in something that's really relevant, but not salesy because you're on social media, you're at the top of the funnel. You're not trying to close the deal, but you do want to build that awareness.
Yes. Thank
Mhm.
you for mentioning the funnel. We went over that too.
Yep.
Um,
Exactly.
well, we're running out of time. Any other advice you want to give to my students about breaking into this social media field?
Yeah, I think if you're comfortable, definitely try to build a personal brand. But if you're not comfortable with that, try to find someone you can do that for or a company you can do that for because I think like having results is what got me this job. I just helped with independent artists with their social media and helped them grow their following. And saying that like got me the job without any question. And I think having those numbers and data driven results will definitely help you for the
It's
future.
like you're road tested already, you
Right.
know? Yeah,
Exactly.
good.
Yeah.
That's great advice. So again, following your passion, if any students who are watching this want to really think about, we're going to have an assignment after this to create your own buyer personas, but you could do it for yourself as a personal brand and
Yeah.
really think about, like Pat said, how to go out there and try to get some experience, some portfolio pieces for yourself that reflect your own personal brand, because that'll help you sell yourself into a job,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
With Drift being culture driven,
Mhm.
having your Grammy experience, your music experience couldn't have hurt,
Yeah.
even though it's not a music company, but it's a trend spotting company. So, um, those are really, really great points. I really appreciate your time, and I'm so proud of all your success, and you've just crushed it in your career. So thank you for giving us some time today.
Yeah. And anyone can reach out to me. I'll give you my email, Julie. They can reach out.
Sure.
So,
Or you can just say it if you
oh yeah.
want
Pete,
to.
Pete Timmons, Timmons at drift.com. That's my email.
Yes,
Anytime.
ptimmons@drift.com. And thank you again for your time.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Julie.